really gently. And so Hatha is just all about it's a yoga for force. So when you think of Hatha, you think you are holding the poses for a long amount of time. You're creating a little bit of fire in the body, but we're not going to be holding it too long. I'm going to be holding it and counting for 5 for each pose. And I have made a little, my own little flow up that we can follow along and hold each pose for 5. And then for the yin poses, we're going to be doing lots for the hamstrings and for the back, but it's going to be gentle. So if you haven't practiced yin before, then you should know that it is really nice and gentle, and you can take it as relaxing as you want. You can make it more restorative, or you can make it more active. It's up to you. So we're going to start cross-legged. Now you can come into stacked legs if you want, a really good hip opener. So just take one leg as crossed, and then take the other leg on top. And then from above, they should look nice and even on the lap. Okay, so we're just going to close the eyes and center ourselves for the practice. So just closing the eyes, you can have the hands up or down on the knees, whatever feels good for you. And we're going to take 10 nice, slow, deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. You can count your own. And when you've finished your breaths, just stay seated and close the eyes and just allow the breathing to come back to normal. Okay, so we're going to start opening up the hips for our warm-up. So you can gently open the eyes, and we're going to walk the hands forward. So we're going to take the hands out in front, staying up onto the fingertips, and we're not collapsing, we're not rounding the back here. So pushing the chest forward, the shoulders down away from the ears. And you should notice by doing that, you get a really deep stretch around one of the hips. You can walk forward a little bit more if that's comfortable. And just finding that point that you can really feel that you're actively stretching out around the hips and the glutes. We'll take 5 breaths here. The warm-up's going to be really deep and working the, deep into the muscles. So staying here. And this just sets the tone for the class of what we'll be doing for the whole session. And hips is usually an area that everyone's a little bit stiff. Okay, and when you finish that, walk the hands back, and we can stack the legs the other way. So again, just crossing one leg underneath and then putting the other leg on top. And we're going to do the same thing again. So walking the hands forward and just checking in, making sure that our posture is good. So again, we're not rounding at all. We're really pushing the chest forward, making sure the back's nice and straight. We'll just do that from the side so you can see. So we're not trying to go down to the mat here. We're just staying up nice and upright. Try and tuck the navel in as well. Three more breaths. If you want to, you can walk a little bit further forward. Again, making sure that the back doesn't round at all. Okay, so gently walking the hands back. And we're going to just come to a normal cross-legged position. And we'll stretch out the side body. So taking the left hand down by the side of the mat, keeping the chest lifted, rolling the shoulders back and down, and then we can slide over one way. And we're going to hold it here. So really making sure that you're pushing the chest forward. Doesn't matter if the arm is bent or not, you should feel a really nice stretch along the side body. And if you want to get an even deeper stretch, if you do straighten that arm, and as if someone's pulling you from that direction, you can get an even deeper stretch. You might even feel that down to the hips. Good, and then gently come back to center. And we'll do the same thing again. So rolling the shoulders back and down, pushing the chest forward, and then the other side. But just feeling what feels good for you. If it feels good to stay nice and upright, so don't always copy what I do. Don't injure yourself, just go to your body's limits. And sometimes I think it just helps to close the eyes to feel and notice what feels good and what's a little bit too much, if you know you're pushing yourself a bit too far. If you want to, again, straighten that arm and pull as if somebody's pulling you from that direction. And then we'll slowly come back to center. Okay, so we're going to come now to knees, so into hero's pose. I'm just going to do a nice neck stretch. So hands can be on the thighs, down or up. Again, we'll roll the shoulders back and down. And making sure that we're not arching the back and pointing the bum out. So we don't want to be doing this. We want to engage the core a little bit so that the back is nice and straight and the navel's tucked in. So sometimes it helps if you just hold on to the tummy, make sure that that's engaged, and then we're not putting any strain on the lower back. Okay, so we'll come to taking the head over to one side. So over to the right hand side first. Again, just keep making sure that we're pushing the shoulders down away from the ears. Okay, and then back to center, and then over to the other side. Good, and then back to center again. Okay, we're going to come to tabletop hands and knees. So just bringing the knees underneath the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders. So we're going to come into some little side twists here. So we're going to just gently twist this, so making sure we're really strong in the arms, pushing the mat away from us. And we're going to twist round to the right. So keeping we can move the hips over to the left and twisting, looking round to the right. You should notice a nice sort of stretch around the glutes, back to center, and then the same with the other side. So leaning over to the right and twisting round to the left, making sure that we're really not collapsing in the arms. Good, and then back to center. And then we're going to just draw some nice big circles with the hips, just to wake the hips up, and then we'll come into our cat-cows. So we're just going to take the hips forward, side and back, and come into a child's pose at the back. And just moving around, closing the eyes if that's comfortable, just to notice how that feels in the body. Good, and we'll do one more, and then we'll do 5 the other way. Use your breath as you move. So inhaling as you come forward, and then exhaling as you move back. Inhaling as you come forward, exhaling as you move back. Good. Okay, and then when you've finished your 5, I'll meet you back at tabletop. Okay, so we're going to drop the belly and take the gaze up. So coming into cow pose, again, really pushing the mat away, getting that space between the ear, shoulders, and looking up. Exhale, rounding the back, dropping the head. Just see if you can feel the space between the shoulder blades. A little bit of space there. Good. Inhale, drop and look forward. Exhale, round. Bring the chin to the chest. Good. And one more time. Inhale, coming forward to cow pose. Exhaling, rounding the back. And coming to cat. Good. Okay, so we're going to come to our little flow now. So we're going to curl the toes under, and we're going to come to downward facing dog. So we're going to lift the knees up off the mat, and then we're going to push the body weight backwards, making the upper body in one nice small line. Take the gaze somewhere between the hands and the legs. We're not looking at the legs, we're not looking at the feet. So taking the gaze somewhere between the two. And then when you're happy here, you can gently straighten the legs a little bit and stretching out the hamstrings. If that's too much, see how you are, Colleen and Abby, after yesterday or after Monday. So if you need a little bend in the knees, feel free. So I'm going to count it here. We're going to stay here, so remember to breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're going to walk the hands back, coming to forward fold. So from here, we're going to make sure that our form is correct. So we don't want to be rounding, looking at the knees at all. So first of all, take your gaze down onto the mat, and we can straighten the arms. So we should have a nice sort of straight back here. If you need a little bend in the knees, that's fine. And then we'll bend the knees a little bit more generously so that the chest and tummy is onto the knees. Hold on to the opposite elbows and then relax the head. And this just makes sure that our back is in the correct alignment here. We're going to use our breath, so we'll stay here for 5, and we're going to just gently straighten each time we're breathing out. Straighten the legs. Still holding on to opposite elbows. 1, at your own breath. 2, 3, 4. You might feel a burn in the thighs. And last one, 5. Okay, we're going to just gently release the hands to the mat, relax the head, and we're going to gently unfold and ragdoll up to standing. So allowing the body to straighten each vertebrae in the spine, allowing the shoulders to come up, and then lastly the head. Okay, so we're going to take the arms above the head here. I'll just turn to the side so you can see what we're going to do. We're going to start with the left side. So we're going to hold the right hand, we're going to hold on to the left hand onto the right wrist. And we're going to pull that above the head. So you see from the side that my arms are just behind my head. Okay, and then we're going to lean over to the left. You should feel a really nice deep stretch all across the right side body. So holding it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Come back to center and exhale, release the arms. Okay, we're going to gently come to a forward fold again. We're going to take the hands onto the hip creases. So just noticing where those hip creases are. Bringing the feet hip width apart. I'm going to fold forward, Keeping the back nice and straight, and we want to engage the core so that the navel's tucked in and we're not again rounding the back. So folding forward, just gently, and then we can release the hands down to the mat. Okay, we're going to half lift and look forward. So we're going to take the hands onto the shins. We can gently come up, straightening the arms, pushing the shoulders down away from the ears. Hopefully we should have a nice flat back. And we're going to exhale, release down. Good. We're going to walk the hands forward and come here to the plank. Okay, so we're just going to hold it here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. So we're going to move the hands over to the right a little bit, so we've got a little bit of space on the mat next to the left hand. And we're going to swing that leg all the way forward, the left leg all the way forward. So that's on the outside of the left arm. Keeping the back leg risen in one straight line. We're just going to hold it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you want to, you can release the arms down to the mat, the forearms. You might not be able to get there. You can also drop the right knee down to the mat. And this is a yin pose, this is lizard pose. We're not going to be holding it, but we're just going to, if you are still on the back leg, take that down to the mat now and release the foot. Okay, we're going to take the left hand to the left knee and just open that knee out to the side. I'll just do that from the other side so you can see. So just pushing that out to the side, and the inside edge of the left foot will come off the mat. This is a really good hip opener. You might feel it really deep in the back of the glutes. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bring it back to the center. Okay, we're going to come back to downward facing dog. So just curling the toes under behind, lifting the leg, taking the leg back behind and pushing back. Again, if you want to, bend the legs first. Take your gaze to the spot between the hands and feet. Good. 1, 2, 3. Really point the tailbone up to the sky. 4 and 5. Walk the hands back towards the body, and we're going to come back to a forward fold. Again, making sure that we can feel the tummy onto the top of the thighs, even if we've got a bend in the knees. Okay, we're going to just hold them to opposite elbows here, relax the head. We're going to take a little twist here, so twisting round to the left, inhaling here, and then exhaling back to the center. Inhaling, twisting around to the right, exhaling back to center. And one more time each side, so inhale left, exhale center, inhale right, exhale center. Good. Relax the arms, relax the head, and we'll gently roll up to standing. Nice and slow. Until the chin is parallel to the ground. Okay, we're going to do the same thing the other side. So, coming to the front of your mat, whichever way you want to make that. And we're going to hold on to the left wrist with the right arm now. So taking that above the head, and we're going to lean over to the right. So a nice deep stretch along the left side body. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Back to center. Okay, so we're going to come to a forward fold. So we'll just gently bring the arms up And then we'll fold forward, so making sure that the back's nice and straight, the tailbone is tucked under, and gently release. Okay, we're gonna bend the knees again and hold on to the back of the legs, using our breath here. Okay, so using the breath to inhale, relax, exhale, straighten the legs. Pushing the shoulders down away from the ears so we're not hunching. Inhale, relax a little bit. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, relax. Exhale, straighten. And we'll do one more. Inhale, relax. And exhale, straighten. Good. Okay, release the hands down to the mat. And we're going to walk the feet backwards, coming into the plank. Okay, so holding it here in plank for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to move the hands over to the left a little bit, making a little bit of room here. And we're going to move that right leg forward next to the right hand. So coming back into that lizard's pose. So bringing that forward. And holding it here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you can, see if you can take the forearms down. 1. If you can't, just stay where you are. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Drop the left knee down to the mat. Release the toes behind. Okay, so we're going to come back onto the hands if you're in your forearms. I'm going to open out through the hips again. So taking the right hand to the right knee, opening that, lifting the foot off the ground on the inside of the right foot, pushing that open, stretching out the hips again. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Okay, we're going to take that back now, coming to downward facing dog. So taking that behind, lifting the knees, pushing the body weight backwards. Again, looking at that spot between the hands and the feet. And we're really pushing our body weight backwards so that our upper body is in one nice long line. Tucking in the tummy, so making sure that we're keeping everything engaged in the core. Bending the knees if you need to. Okay. And we'll gently walk the hands back towards the body. And we'll come back to that little twist. So relaxing the head, holding opposite elbows. Twisting around to the left, inhale. Exhale back to center. Inhale right. Exhale center. Inhale left. Exhale center. Inhale right. Exhale center. Good. Release the arms. And again, we'll gently roll up, ragdoll up to standing. Good. Okay, so we're going to come now to our yin poses. So we're going to gently squat down to the mat. So we're going to take the feet nice and wide here, just wider than the body. And the hands at the heart, rolling the shoulders back and down. And we'll gently squat down, tucking the tailbone under, protecting the lower back. So squat down. If you can go all the way. If you can't, if that's uncomfortable, bring the hands, use the hands to guide you to seated and keeping the legs in front. And you can do the same thing, pushing the knees apart. Hold it here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Okay, gently bring the knees together. We're going to come into our first yin exercise, which is caterpillar pose. So if you've got anything handy, it's useful. It's not compulsory. If you have got something you can just prop up underneath the sitting bones, then it's really helpful. If you haven't, just really make sure you move those fleshy bits out of the way. And we're going to just, so we'll take the legs out straight in front. And with yin, we can just relax into the posture. So we can have a bit of a rounded back here, and that's fine. So we're just going to move the body weight forwards. So you need to find that position that you feel that you're able to just hold and be comfortable. So we'll be holding it for about 3 minutes. So if you need to grab something to prop underneath you, then feel free to quickly grab that. If not, then stay where you are, and the back, like I said, can completely round. So we'll just allow the head to relax here. And this is really good for just the whole of the spine, the ligaments that run along the spine. And by relaxing here, we can strengthen and lengthen our connective tissues, get access to the areas in the joints. So it's really helpful if you close the eyes. The hands can rest wherever they're comfortable. So closing the eyes, just listening to your breathing or listening to any other sounds you can hear. Just use this time to notice where the thoughts are going, where your energy is being used. Whether it's on something that you think you should be doing. Just taking some deep breaths if you're finding any irritation at all or irritability. Good, we just got 1 more minute. Okay, just a few more seconds. Okay, so to come out, excuse me, to come out, we place the hands by the side of the body and use the hands to help the body to come upright again. It's important that we just take the time to do that when we're practicing yin. And to counter that, we're just going to come to recline butterfly, laying down. So taking the back down to the mat and bringing the knees bent. And it's when you lay back that you might notice the counter of that pose. So the knees are bent and the feet are together, and then we can open the knees out to the sides, soles of the feet touching. We can place the hands onto the lap, and we'll just gently rest here for about a minute. So just if you have got your hands on the tummy, just noticing the tummy rising forward with the breath. Okay, so we'll gently use the hands to bring the knees back together. And we can take the left leg out nice and straight. And we're going to come into a half happy baby pose as our next one. So we're going to bend the knee, bringing that close into the chest. That's the right leg. Take the right hand and place it inside the knee and see if you can hold on to the outside edge of the foot. Now you can either stay up here, or if you want to, you can bring it to the side. There's either option are fine. Whichever one you choose, just try to stay there for the duration of the pose. So we'll hold this for about 2 minutes. You'll notice that it requires a little bit of balance as well to stop you moving over to the right. So just finding that position you're able to hold, and when you get there, choosing concentration to stay in that position. This is good for our sacroiliac joint, which is just above the sacrum. Just notice if you're tensing up any muscles in the pelvis. You might notice that the knee moves a little bit, that's fine. Maybe opening out to the side, and that's okay. Allow it to gently. Just use your breath to relax into the pose. Sorry, I should have said if you can't reach the outside edge of the foot, then holding on to somewhere on the shin or near the ankle. Good, and we'll just hold it for another 30 seconds. Okay, so gently releasing that foot. So again, doing everything slowly, intentionally, and we'll straighten that leg out in front. And we'll just gently rest again for another minute before we go on to the other side. So you can take both legs out straight here, placing the hands onto the tummy. Okay, so we'll gently bend the left leg now. And we can bring that into the chest, and again holding on to the outside edge of that foot. And if it's, like I said, if it's not comfortable, then holding on to the shin or the ankle. So holding that open, you might want to place the right hand on the ground. And we'll just hold it here. Again for another 2 to 3 minutes. Again, closing the eyes, just noticing any sensations in the body where you can feel that this is working deeply. Just relaxing into the pose with every breath. This is also good for the inner thigh. It can also be strengthening for the arms. Just another 30 seconds. Okay, so just gently coming out of that one. Again, using the hand to guide you out. And we'll straighten the body again, relaxing for 1 minute in Shavasana. So hands can come to the belly or by the side of the body. Just noticing how the legs feel now around the inner thighs, around anywhere else you can feel that that's worked. Okay, so we'll gently roll onto one side and come up to seated. I'm going to come into straddle pose. So there's 2 ways we can do this. If you have got something to prop underneath you, I recommend doing it this way, which I'll demonstrate first. So that's with the legs out, not too wide, but comfortably wide enough. And then we just allow the back to round forward. So that's one way. If you haven't got anything behind you, then I recommend just bringing the legs up, open nice and wide, and doing the same thing. So just allowing the back to round and allow the head to relax as well. So just picking which one you want to do, and we'll hold it here for about 2 to 3 minutes. Again, just making sure that we're staying really nice and still throughout the posture. This is really good for, again, the hips, the groin, back of the thighs. So just to start off, notice where the body is, and then as we move through the 2.5, 3 minutes, just notice how gravity is allowing you to move down a little bit further and further and further. So just take a note and noticing what your body is doing throughout the posture. This is also good, like the caterpillar pose, the ligaments that run along the spine. And we're rounding our back. We're not putting pressure on when we do, again, cell practice. If we come into a forward fold and we're trying to push our head down to what we think, where it should be, or what we think it should be, down towards the knees, we're then putting too much stress on the spine. Whereas in yin yoga, we can round the spine because we're just relaxing there. We're not putting any stress to the joints. Just a few more moments. Just notice where you are now, if that you are closer to the ground, and we'll gently and slowly come up. So rounding, straightening the spine, using the hands to bring you in. So we'll use the hands to bring the legs back together. And the last pose we'll do is butterfly, or the last seated pose we'll do is butterfly. So we'll bring the feet together, soles of the feet together. You can bring that in, not pushing all the way in towards the body, maybe just a little bit out in front. And we can hold on to the ankles or the feet. And again, we'll be guided by the forehead, so be allowing the head to relax down. Finding a position you're able to hold. So you might be able to come down on the forehead, you might even get your head down onto the feet, or you might be all the way still feeling like you're not moving anywhere upright. So wherever you are, just relaxing the body. We're not going to hold this one quite as long. So we're just going to hold this one for about a minute. The reason being, we've just worked on our spine, and this is more to open out the hips. Just a little bit longer. Okay, so it'll come out really nice and slow, again using the hands to guide you out. And we'll have about 30 seconds rest laying down, then we'll come into reclining twist on each side. So taking the legs out nice and straight, relaxing the upper body down on the mat. You should, again, when we lay back, notice what we've done to the spine. So just making sure that we're relaxing here for about 30 seconds. So we'll just do a reclining twist for about 2 minutes each side, and then we'll come into Shavasana. Okay, so we'll bend the knees, bringing the soles of the feet onto the ground. We can take the arms out nice and wide to a T shape. And then we can drop the knees over to one side. So I'm going to drop mine over to the right. So I'm going to take my hips over to the left first, and then drop my knees down over to the right. So we want to make sure that both shoulders are still connecting to the ground here. If you notice that the left shoulder is up, then bring the knees closer to the body, and then you should be able to move it back down. Okay, so finding that spot that you're able to gently twist, but keeping both shoulders connected to the ground, and we can take our gaze over to the left. So just a really gentle spinal twist. Just a few more moments. Okay, so we'll bring the head back to the center first, and then we can use the arm to help guide the knees back to the middle. And we can go straight over to the other side. So bringing the body in one nice long line first, taking the arms out nice and wide, the hips over to the right, and then drop the knees down to the left. Again, just making sure that both shoulders are on the ground, and then we can take the gaze over to the right hand. And again, we'll hold it here for about a minute or two. Maybe one side is a little bit uncomfortable, so just noticing which side that is. Another 30 seconds. Okay, so to come out again, we'll bring the head back to the center, and we can bring the knees back to the middle. We're going to come into Shavasana. If you want to, you can grab something to cover you over, because you might find you get a little bit chilly, as we've been very static for the last few poses. So you might find the body temperature has dropped. So if you need to layer up, and we'll come back to laying down. If you want to, maybe cover the feet. If you're like me and the feet get cold. So just laying back, allowing the whole body to sink into the mat. You can just tilt the pelvis up a little bit, allowing the lower back to have some little relief. We can place the hands by the side of the body, palms facing up. Push the shoulders down away from the ears. Then we're just going to rest here, getting all of those little wiggles out of the way, finding that spot that's comfortable. Maybe moving the head over to one side slightly, allowing it to relax. Maybe just getting those little wiggles out the fingers and toes so that you can remain still. And we're going to just take some nice deep breaths here. So breathing in through the nose and out through the nose as well. Just allowing the ground to take a little bit more weight each time. Keeping the eyes closed. This is your 10 minutes of relaxation. This is the only relaxation you've done today. I mean pure relaxation without external distractions. Just having this time to not think about anything. Just being in the body, listening to sounds around you. And we'll begin our body scan from the feet and work up the body. So noticing all of the toes. And just imagining that they're being pulled away down from the ankles. And noticing the ankles. Imagining that they're being pulled down away from the knees. Feeling the knees, awareness here. Imagine that pulling down away from the hips and pelvis. And the hips, imagine that pulling away from the ribs. And the ribs, imagine them pulling down away from the shoulders. And the shoulders, imagine them pulling down away from the head. And the elbows, feeling them pulling down away from the shoulder joints. And the wrists. Down away from the elbows And the fingers down away from the wrists. Just bringing our awareness to the head, relaxing the eyes, relaxing the cheeks, the lips and the tongue. Maybe just parting the lips a little bit, allowing the teeth to sit in their natural way. Take a couple more deep, slow breaths here, just settling in a little bit deeper. Relaxing a little bit more. Okay, and we'll begin to bring some awareness back in the body, just taking a more wakeful breath, a nice big breath in through the nose and maybe a slow breath out through the mouth. Just the body waking up and moving the fingers and toes, just little movements. You can take maybe the arms above the head, stretching like it's our first morning stretch. Maybe having a yawn. And we can gently roll onto one side if you feel ready. If not, just taking the time to stay there a bit longer. Rolling on one side and using the arm as a little pillow, keeping the eyes closed. Just resting here, no rush to move. And if you feel ready, you can really slowly and gently come up to seated, using the hands to guide you with the eyes shut. To any comfortable seat position for you. Placing the palms on the knees, down or up, whatever feels better for you right now. I'm just going to stay here for 1 minute. All I need you to focus on is your breathing. So just for 1 minute, see if you can just take your attention to the breath, nothing else. Okay, so that was 1 minute. We'll take the palms together, just gently rub the palms together, creating a little bit of heat between the hands. And we'll just transfer that heat over the face, maybe over the neck. And we'll take the hands back over the eyes, blocking out all the light. Just noticing the hearing senses automatically heightened. And we'll just wake up the eyes, moving the eyes up and down, up and down, up and down. And then left to right, left to right, left to right. And we'll gently draw the hands away from the face, opening the eyes. Namaste.